Hello, everyone. I think this time it's also in order to say, as every day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining. Today, we are here to celebrate excellent work by three sister organizations, and we are going also to debate thoroughly. But before we go into the details, I would like to hand over the floor to our president, Professor Chiara Malaguti.
Thank you, Ignacio, and thank you and welcome to everyone. This is one of the very first times I welcome people at UNIDROIT, because I started my position just a few weeks ago. But I'm extremely happy to start with these kind of events, because I was trying to remember, and the first time I took part to a multilateral negotiation of this kind was in '92. And I'm old, but at that time I was indeed still extremely young. And so, 30 years working in this field. Being involved in UNIDROIT and be the president of UNIDROIT for me is really an honor. For Italians in particular, and I hope for everyone, but for Italians, UNIDROIT is really a special thing. For the history it has, for the kind of general tradition and work that they did. So I'm extremely pleased to welcome you. But I'm also extremely pleased to welcome this specific event here, because as I hope the most of you know, because I think I know many of you already, I did work for Italy in each of these organizations. So in each, at least the organizers and those who are directly involved also in UNCITRAL and the Hague, the HCCH, would know that my involvement is really something I feel as part of my career and my identity. So I welcome you. I leave the floor to Ignacio, but really I hope that we can keep cooperating, because I seriously believe that this is one of the best multilateral efforts that we can do for the good in general of humanity and the prosperity of the world. I do believe that. Ignacio.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you very much. It is really a joy for us to finally have you with us. Right, so very briefly, we are here to present the, I'll say the full title, the Legal Guide to Uniform Legal Instruments in the Area of International Commercial Contracts, with a focus on sales. This tripartite conference should have taken place in May, and because of the reasons everyone is aware of, we had to postpone it to September, because I was absolutely convinced that there will be no COVID in September, that we will have COVID in May, and then again in the winter, as experts said, and I couldn't be, like so many other times, more wrong. Anyway, here we are, and we will try our best to have a good discussion. It is an enormous pleasure, as it was during the process, to co-organize this event with our sisters organizations, with the Hague Conference International Private International Law and the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL, and I would like to extend immediately an most heartfelt word of gratitude to the chairs that have organized the panels and each and every expert that has accepted to participate today. We should be presenting this instrument further in the months and even years to come. There is already a planned event to take place in Seoul, Korea in November. We would have very much liked to go there, but it looks at this stage like that is not going to happen. The event will, however, take place anyway. So this tripartite guide starts at the initiative of UNCITRAL. It is not the first one there is. There is a previous tripartite guide on create the coordination of the text of the three organizations' security interests, but we believe this one has perhaps even greater potential. UNCITRAL started the initiative, Hague and us, to draft this guidance document, so they should get the credit for being the pioneers in this initiative. From the UNIDROIT standpoint, this tripartite guide was incorporated onto our work program in 2017. So it was for the 2017-2019 work program to be finished in this current work program, as has been the case. From our side, it has been basically not only led, but conducted in first person by Deputy Secretary General Professor Anna Veneziano, who deserves all praises for her excellent work as always. The text itself, apart from the work of the Secretariat of the three organizations, was led by a small group of highly reputed international experts in the field of contract law. In particular, the group was composed of Professor Neil Cohen from Brooklyn Law School, Laura Gama Jr. from the Pontificia Universidade Católica de Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, from Professor Hiro Sono from Hokkaido University in Japan, Pilar Perales Vizcasillas, Universidad Carlos III from Madrid, and Professor Stefan Vogenauer, now director at the Max Planck Institute for European Legal History in Germany. Although most of the work was conducted online and through discussions, thanks to the generous support of the Max Planck Institute and Professor Vogenauer, two in-person meetings of the working group took place in Frankfurt in 2018 and 2019. In February 2019, we circulated between our governing council members the text for comments. We received some very interesting comments, and we're very grateful to governing council members and others that provided comments based on the link provided by governing council members. We presented it for its approval in our 99th session, and the approval was unanimous by all members of the council, subject to possible small modifications that could take place later in the process of approval at UNCITRAL. The UNCITRAL Commission discussed the draft, it will be explained later, and with some adjustments was adopted. So we are very grateful for the work done. We are very proud of the result, and we are hopeful that today's conference will assist in putting some proper analytical flesh to the bones of this guide, which is bound to be very useful. That is all I wanted to say, Madam President, perhaps. Thank you.
Thank you, Ignacio. And now I think I will give the floor to Christophe Bernasconi, who should be connected.
Distinguished President Malaguti, dear colleagues, Ignacio, Anna, dear chairs, moderators, speakers, experts, participants, a heartfelt welcome also from The Hague, and indeed, yes, consider the greeting to be a good morning or good evening, depending on where in the world you are joining us from. May I start by saying, Madam President, what a great pleasure it is to meet you again in your new capacity as President of UNIDROIT. I congratulate you again on your prestigious function, and I look forward to continuing our successful cooperation with UNIDROIT under your active presidency. And I certainly hope, yes, to meet you again in person in not too distant a future. Thank you all also for joining us today for this international conference on the contribution of the three sister organizations, the HCCH, UNCITRAL and UNIDROIT, to the harmonization of the law of international sales. And it's probably fair and transparent to say that the contribution of the HCCH to the law of international sales is probably slightly more modest than the contribution of the other organizations. Yes, we have 4 conventions on the books that explicitly deal with international jails, but I think it's, again, appropriate to say that they are not amongst the most successful of our conventions. But of course, the contribution of the HCCH is now a bit more prominent also through the more recent work that we have done here, including, of course, through this wonderful tripartite project that we have the real pleasure to working on as well, and which led to the legal guide already introduced. So this is the first promotional event to be held following the approval of the guide by all three organizations. And my sincere appreciation goes to UNIDROIT and its Secretariat for organizing this timely event one day before the start of their General Council. For which, of course, we wish you all the very best. And our renewed thanks also to our dear friends at UNCITRAL for the fruitful and always pleasant cooperation throughout the project. Last but certainly not least, I also wish to thank again those who have done the heavy lifting, the crucial part of the work, the 5 experts who actually drafted the legal guide. They have been identified. So thank you very much indeed for your hard work, your commitment and dedication, all pro bono on top of that. But we would simply not be meeting here today without your full commitment to this project. And we are delighted that you could all join us today on this occasion, and I look forward to hearing each of you speak across the afternoon. Having such a high caliber of people involved in these types of projects is crucial to their success, both in development and beyond. The guide is indeed another remarkable example of what close, active cooperation between the 3 organizations in an area of common interest may produce. And I certainly look forward to our continuing cooperation as together with our respective members, we will explore other possible common projects. It is indisputable that private international law issues are paramount in cross-border commercial transactions. Questions such as which court is competent to hear the dispute, which law is applicable, and whether a judgment can be recognized and enforced in states other than the state where the judgment is given are perennial. Legal certainty and predictability in these aspects will no doubt benefit the parties and promote international trade and investment. This is why one of the most important aspects of cross-border commercial transactions in ensuring legal certainty and predictability is upholding the principle of party autonomy. And as you know, the HCCH has several, as I said, more recent instruments aimed at safeguarding and promoting party autonomy, including, of course, the 2005 Choice of Court Convention, which seeks to ensure that parties' choice of court agreement is upheld by courts, and of course also the 2015 Principles on Choice of Law and International Commercial Contracts, which promote parties' choice of law agreement. Indeed, the legal guide devotes a chapter to parties' choice of law, in fact discussing the HCCH principles. The principles, the first soft law instrument developed and approved by the HCCH, are designed precisely to promote party autonomy in international commercial contracts while setting balanced boundaries to such autonomy. The principles contain some interesting features, including allowing parties to choose non-state law, such as, yes, of course, the CISG and the UNIDROIT principles, which may further promote and facilitate their use. All in all, the HCCH principles, although not binding, provide a comprehensive blueprint to guide users in the creation, reform, or interpretation of choice of law regimes at the national, regional, and international level. For example, principles have recently been supported and endorsed by UNCITRAL and the International Chamber of Commerce, and we are most grateful for this endorsement. They were also an important source of inspiration and reference for the development of the regional OAS guide on the law applicable to international contracts in the Americas. And at the national level, they have served as a model to the legislators of Paraguay in promulgating the law applicable to international contracts, and as we speak, also for legislators in Mozambique in their reform of national law. The principles are also relevant in the context of arbitration, but in the interest of time, I will not develop on that. Suffice to say that the usefulness of the HCCH principles will need to be further advocated, and the legal guide, which is at the heart of today's conference, is a rather fitting means of promotion. And I therefore encourage you to look into the principles and the guide and spread the word about their benefits for the legal community as a whole. Without further ado, I'll give the floor back to you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you, Christophe, to Mr. Bernasconi. And now I leave the floor to the Secretary of UNCITRAL. I understand we also speak French, so Madame le Secrétaire de CNUCTSI, Anna Joubin-Bret. Anna, tu as la parole.
Merci beaucoup, Maria Chiara, and I will switch to English because the speaking points I prepared were in English. I could have done them in French. Madam President of UNIDROIT, distinguished members of the UNIDROIT Governing Council, distinguished Secretary General of UNIDROIT, distinguished Secretary General of the Hague Conference on Private International Law, dear colleagues and friends, it's a real pleasure for me to be with you today, although only remotely. But you have the better part of the UNCITRAL management participating in person, so I'm sure that you will not doubt UNCITRAL's commitment and engagement in today's celebration. I would be remiss if I did not start out by congratulating Madame President of UNIDROIT, my dear friend Chiara Malaguti, for her election at this prestigious position. I'm glad for many reasons, one being, of course, Chiara's ongoing involvement with UNCITRAL's work over the years, and particularly more recently, its Working Group 1 that she's been so aptly leading. And another being the excellent working relationship that we developed, the two of us, in the last 3 years since I joined UNCITRAL, which confirms that our outstanding cooperation with UNIDROIT will continue in the years to come. And last but not least, I also wish to congratulate her because she's the first woman to preside over the destinies of UNIDROIT. Well done, Chiara. Congratulations, and rest assured that you can always count on us. Please allow me to highlight very briefly the two important events of today's conference, the two important events, that today's conference marks. I will be brief because a lot has already been said by my two predecessors, and I would like to first highlight the fact that today's conference comes in the framework of UNCITRAL's CISG at 40 initiative, which celebrates the 40th anniversary of the adoption of this flagship convention. We've been hit, all of us, by the COVID-19 pandemic, and one of the side effects of the convention of this pandemic is, of course, that the celebration we had envisaged for the CISG's 40th anniversary could not take place as we had foreseen them. So we are really great that this event with you here in Rome is part, or can be part, of the celebration of 40th anniversary of the CISG. As you all know, the story of the CISG is a tale of osmosis, or cross-fertilization, as they say nowadays, between UNCITRAL and UNIDROIT. While much of the preparatory work was carried out at UNIDROIT, the text was finalized at UNCITRAL and then adopted by a diplomatic conference hosted by the United Nations in Vienna. Then, the convention played its momentous role by providing inspiration to the UNIDROIT principles on international commercial contracts and many other global, regional, and national codification efforts. And you will be hearing more of this later in the program. But for us, it also marks the event to launch the legal guide to uniform instruments in the area of international commercial contracts with a focus on sales. The guide is a concrete and tangible output of the cooperation between the three sister organizations of private international law, the Hague Conference, UNIDROIT, and us in UNCITRAL. And I don't want to repeat what has already been said about this joint project that has now been adopted by the Hague Conference, by the UNIDROIT Council, and more recently by the UNCITRAL Commission at its 53rd session, at least the first part of it in July of 2020. This legal guide is a significant tool in promoting the understanding, the use, and the uniform application of the texts of our organizations. Suffice to say that it clearly highlights how our work follows the guiding principle of freedom of contract and provides traders with the desirable legal predictability and flexibility in their dealings. Of course, and that was said by my dear friend and colleague Christophe, the legal guide is not the final product of our cooperation, but yet another stepping stone of a successful and multifaceted cooperation that will continue to take place in the months to come as we are further promoting the use of this guide together. Let me mention in that respect also the fruitful cooperation in the preparatory work on the legal aspects of the digital economy, which touches upon matters closely related to the CISG, such as the use of automated messaging systems and smart contracts. We presented it to the Commission last week, and we also presented the legal taxonomy prepared by the UNIDROIT and UNCITRAL Secretariats. And we were very encouraged by member states to continue this important work, which provides us with a methodology for addressing matters otherwise difficult to grasp and assess, at least from their legal aspects. Similarly, we're looking forward to working together with UNIDROIT in the preparation of a legal instrument on warehouse receipts. And we're also looking forward to the work UNIDROIT will initiate on digital assets. As said, digital assets are going to play an increasing role in legal frameworks such as secure transactions and insolvency, which are of course core in UNCITRAL's work, but also, and this will be the first test case for us, in the tokenization of assets in warehouses. As I conclude my remarks, please allow me to take advantage of this opportunity to call upon representatives of member states of UNIDROIT's Governing Council and also members of UNCITRAL. One of the goals of our CISG at 40 initiative is to promote broader state participation in the CISG and related treaties, and namely for the CISG to reach the symbolic number of 100 state parties. I would like to ask the states members of the UNIDROIT, especially those represented in its Governing Council that have not yet adopted the CISG, to consider doing so in light of the many advantages it offers that are well illustrated in the guide. Among those advantages, we need to stress the importance of efficient supply chain management, which in the times of disruptions like the ones we have been living in the past months is really an important asset. With this, I thank you very much for your attention. I thank colleagues in UNIDROIT for hosting this timely conference. I thank our colleagues in UNIDROIT and the Hague Conference for working together with us, and of course also our consultants in this important undertaking. And I look forward to interesting presentations and enriching discussions. Thank you very much. The floor is back to you, Chair. Thank you.